All right, we're going to start at number 16 on your review. And so this problem, you were asked to label the normal model with the actual lengths, the x values, so that's the context, and then also the number of standard deviations, okay? So when you are asked about a question, what percent of adult male anoles are between 5.3 and 7.7. So all of these ended up falling right on a whole number standard deviations. So you could either remember this percentages that we had done at the very, very beginning of our normal model unit, or you can easily see that 5.3 is a z-score of -2 and 7.7 is a z-score of +2. Oh, I did that. So I can see I had done that answer wrong on the answer key. Because if it's from -2 standard deviations to +2 standard deviations, so that's going to be actually somewhere around 95%. I think I was thinking it went to 7.1. So those should come out to be closer to 95%. Okay. The next one, what percent of the green anoles are less than 5.9? So that's one standard deviation below the mean. So we would be finding out this area below one standard deviation. You can either add up those percentages, it's about 16%, or you can do your z-scores from -99 to -1. From 5.3 to 8.3, the lower z-score is -2, and the upper z-score is 3. So then you can norm CDF that, and you get 97.59%. Now, greater than 6.5, well, 6.5 was the mean. So I automatically know that's 50%. All right, now here on this next one, we want to know what is the standard deviation if the oldest 18%, so that's the top 18%, are 120. Okay, so that's 120 or more. And so there's our mean. So then we can do that top 18%, which means inverse norm of the bottom 82%. So our z-score, 0.92, and then our x minus the mean over that standard deviation. Multiply by standard deviation, and then divide by 0.92. All right, 18. So here we had squirrels that were traveling on the UT campus. And what proportion of the squirrels travel less than 78? So we're asking for this proportion. So we're getting that amount. We were given these three values. So we find that z-score and we norm CDF, the area below that. So the z-scores that are lower than that, 1.39%. More than 115, so that's our x value. We get that z-score of 1.5, and here's how that probability notation looks. So it's about 6.68%. Now, here we're going between 80 and 95. So do you see here I have two z-scores, or two x values, which then will account for two z-scores that come out to be -1.5 and -0.5. So I have 24.17%. What would be the cutoff distance for the furthest 10%? Well, if that's the farthest 10%, then that's 90% below it. So that z-score is 1.28. So then you set up that z-score formula to solve for x. Here we have this 99% that we want to be below that particular z noise level. So that's your lower 99%. That makes that z-score inverse norm of 0.99. So 2.33 equals x minus the mean over standard deviation, and then you solve. All right. Now we have these ones about the pizza. So here this pizza, or this provolone and pepperoni bread is the most expensive, and it's 3 standard deviations. The number you've got to know that if you are given the number of standard deviations above the mean, that is the z-score. So that is your z-score of 3. And then you can solve for the x. Okay, you have to know in context if they tell you it's maybe, or even if they said 3 standard deviations below the mean, then that would be a -3. All right, what proportion cost less than $4? So that's your x value. We're going to solve for that z-score, x minus mean over standard deviation, 1.16, and then compute the area less than that, 87.70%. What proportion of breads cost more than 3.75? So again, we have mean, standard deviation, x, get the z-score, and norm CDF above that, greater than. So I got that that was just a z-score of 0.58. So then that's 28.10%. Oh, now looky here. We have 2 x values. We want the cost of the breads that are between $3 and $3.50. So once again, we have 2 z-scores, and then we find that area in between those. So I norm CDF from the lower one, negative 1.16, to 0. And the last one, it is asking about the bottom 20%. And if it asks about the bottom 20%, then you are ready to put that into inverse norm to find that percent or to find that z-score. So negative 0.84 is how we get that, and we solve and we get 3.14. All right. Now, coffee machine is got its machine calibrated so that an 8-ounce cup will only overflow 1% of the time. So that means that's the top 1% is at an 8-ounce cup. So the question is asking, where should that mean calibration be set? Where should the machine be set so that 99% of the cups do not overflow? And so that's how we get that inverse norm of 0.99. And so that's 2.33 equals 8 minus the mean over that standard deviation, and then we do the algebra to solve for that mean. Notice that on this step here, we would have subtracted the 8 over to this other side, and that's why we got negative 7.068, which was the negative mean, and then you multiply through. Okay. And our last ones, we have these pygmies of Zaire. And so here we are asked, and you had to be careful on these, you had to change over to inches. Okay, so we had the mean of 4'3", which is 48 plus 3, so 51 inches is the mean. And then we had, so watch your units, okay? So that's one thing you need to make sure that you're paying attention to. So here we had wanted to know what proportion is too tall. So so I'm thinking, yeah. So I'm thinking I did this one wrong. I can see I did this one wrong also because see, 48 minus 51, that would be a negative 1.5 because 48 is below the mean. So I should actually have quite a bit more than that. I think it's the opposite. What is that going to be? 90.32%. Okay. So that's a lot of them that have to duck. I'm thinking they should make the tops of it larger. Okay. And then now this is an interesting one. They get to sing in this ceremony if they are in this middle section here. But these parts on the outside are left out. So you had to find out how much area is on the left and how much area is on the right, and then add those two areas together. So The left area is 50 minus 51, so that was negative 0.5. So that's 30.85% over here. You can see that. Then on the right-hand side, I guess I don't have my z-score showing. 54 minus, that's 3 over 2, so I could tell that was a z-score of 1.5. So 1.5 z-score and up, that was that 6.8%. So I totaled those together. And then the last one, the top 10%, which is the bottom 90%. Set your z-score formula up and then solve for the x. All right, so there's a picture of the Pygmies there, the world's shortest tribe. Okay, so I hope that that review made sense for you so that you are prepared for your Unit 6 exam.